me because I was so embarrassed and ashamed of my mess. And so she texted me a couple days after I had attempted to give up. And she's like, let's just hang out. I just want to see where you're at. How's college going? Like, no pressure, just want to hang out with you. And I met with her, and she's like, how's stuff going? And I couldn't even fake it anymore. I was like, oh my gosh, my life's horrible. I don't even love God anymore, all this stuff. And basically she's like, you might not love God anymore, but God loves you. And that's what's, like, God will never turn away from you like your friends or your family or other people have. Like, God is always going to be there. God's your constant. God's your rock. And so she told me about this camp in Maryland because she knows I like to travel. And she's like, I want you to apply. I went there for 3 or 4 months and lived there and helped run a summer camp. And then when I got back, she told me there's a leadership program that they were going to run through Campus Life that she wanted me to get involved with. When I got back, it's called Alumni Leadership. And it's just a program for freshmen and sophomores that have graduated through Campus Life and want to get involved still and want to volunteer to school and maybe eventually intern and become staff. So through the camp and Campus Life and my mentors, Chelsea and Bryan, they kind of helped me focus my life back on God and kind of helped me turn around. I got baptized that summer at camp and, promised God that I would never walk away from him again in any circumstances, no matter how hard it got. And then they introduced me to the alumni program, where it's just kids kind of going through the same thing, freshmen and sophomores in college. And then you have the chance after a year of that to internship for Campus Life, and then you can come on as part-time staff. And so I'm actually just getting done with my internship program, and I'm coming on as part-time staff at Campus Life at Lincoln High School. And then I'm hopefully starting JJM, which is Juveniles Justice Ministry, and we've been doing some stuff through Keller Middle School. So it's just been really cool and exciting to see how Campus Life has worked in my life, because I never thought as like a sophomore in high school that would be my life change. So.
I'm gonna have her stay up for a little bit because I'm gonna have her tell you another story in just a second. But just to pause real quick and just talk about, one of our driving missions with Campus Life is to create lifelong followers of Jesus. And as you can imagine, if your mission is to create lifelong followers of Jesus, that sometimes that means you have to be in that journey with them for a lifetime. Doesn't end when they graduate high school. And Shelby is just a big example of that, our job is not done when they walk out of that high school. We kept connected with her and have helped be a part of that process with her. So this program that she's talking about, we call it the Student to Staff program. And it's just another way of just instilling that we want to create lifelong followers of Jesus. And part of that is instilling in them just a desire to go deeper in their faith, but also to turn that into serving, to turn that back around and help others see what you have. So the verse that we share this morning, the 1 Timothy, do not let others look down on you for being young, and but I don't even know. Talks about being above reproach, basically. That's our key theme verse for that program, that we want to instill those values into those people. And so really, when you think about it, like, these people are not people that grew up in church, you know what I mean? Like, it's really amazing to watch that shift happen to where now it's like Shelby can come here and sit in a very traditional small town church, and she fits right in not because she grew up with it, but because she's come to meet the same Jesus that you guys have known maybe for a longer period of time. It's just really cool to watch that transition happen with someone. And so really the goal with that being through that program that we would create more people who are ready to go out and minister to people, to again bring to people that don't have it, something that they didn't have and someone brought to them, kind of a thing. And so Shelby has another cool story to share about how that's worked out in her life.
So one of my biggest things is I moved back home too, to get out of some situations, and my family's a hard spot. And when you didn't grow up in a Christian home and you become the one Christian in your family, you're kind of the weirdo. They really just don't get that, I want to go to South Africa for a couple months or a couple weeks. I want to, work with these teens. They don't understand why I hang out with teenagers still, things like that. I was going to church by myself. I'd meet friends there, but I'd always go by myself. It was never with my family. Eventually, to a point, my little brother, who is now a senior at Northeast, I think he just felt bad for me. Like, I would get up early and go to church every morning by myself. And I'd always invite the family, and they're like, oh, yeah, whatever. And at one point, he's like, it was, I think, last year, Easter time. He's like, is when he kind of started going to church with me on and off. And he's like, I'll go to church with you. Like, you go alone, I'll go with you. I'm like, okay, getting the pity card, but it's worth it. I get him in church, like, I'll take it. So he came to church on and off, and just recently in the fall, after a missions trip, he's just really been into, I liked what I heard at church. And he's been coming every week, and I've noticed that it wasn't just because of me. When I was gone, he went to church with a couple of the people I do campus life with when I was on a missions trip. And then he's kind of a different kid. All his other siblings got in a lot of trouble. He's just like the good kid. Like, he's the baby, and he just knows better than to get in trouble. And so he didn't really like campus life. He didn't necessarily like all the kids that went. He didn't like all that. But I finally got him to, start going, and he enjoyed the games. He enjoyed it. But he was just more interested in what it was. Like, he knew what we were about. He knew I worked for campus life, and he knew it was a God thing. And so without me even knowing, he read Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis. I don't know if you guys have read that book. I can't even get through that book. It's a really tough read, especially for an 18-year-old teenage boy. So he read this book, and he came to me afterwards. He's like, Shelby, this book talks about Jesus. And, they don't make excuses like some Christians do. And, all this stuff. And he's, telling me all this stuff he learned in this book. And he's like, I like going to your church. And I love Mosaic. And he's telling me all this stuff. I'm like, well, what do you think about Jesus? He goes, I believe in the man. I think he's good. He's got great morals. Still not sure. So I'm like, okay, interesting. He continued to go to church with me. And then a trip was coming up, the ski trip that Bryan had just talked about. And my family has a relational problem. I think my brother got the Jesus part, the logistics of it. But having a relationship with God just didn't make sense to him. So through fundraising and his Northeast Campus Life leader, we made it financially okay for him to go on this trip, and we paid for it. And then we got him on this trip, and like I said, he's kind of his own breed, I guess. He kind of likes to do his own thing, and he didn't even really hang out and play games with the kids. He kind of did his own thing. He went and climbed a mountain. He wasn't even supposed to do that, but he climbed a mountain all by himself. He just hung out by himself, and it was just I wasn't sure if he was getting it. But then when the speaker would talk, he was so into it, and he listened so well. And on the last night, we give the kids that 15 or 20 minutes to go figure it out for themselves, away from their friends, away from cell phones, things like that. And he came back in after small group, and we have a say-so where they can just say where they're at or what they think or the progress they've made. And he stood up, and he's just I've really been seeking what God meant to me and what God is. And, I said yes to God tonight, and I couldn't be more happy about it. And I was just in pieces because I never thought, I would see my little brother say yes to God. And he finally got the relational part of it. He, is connecting the dots. He's getting it. And then my parents are a whole different story. So Stephen comes back, and now my parents don't know what to do because there's two crazies in the house. There's two Christians that are on fire for God, just won't shut up about this ski trip and how much God is working in their life. And my dad took us out to eat, and my parents have been going through some marital problems and haven't really been talking. So my dad took me and my brother out to eat, and my brother won't stop talking about this ski trip, and he just keeps going on. And I just let him go on about it. My dad's like, what's the big deal and all this stuff. And Steven's like, God's a big deal, Dad. And my dad is going through some things with job and pride issues, and he was just complaining. And my brother's like, you know what, Dad, even if you don't believe in God, you should go to church. It's amazing people with positive perspectives on life, and maybe it might just change how you think about life, even if you don't believe in God like we do. So believe it or not, my dad, the hard, tough military man, showed up in nice khakis and a polo at church that Sunday for the first time ever. And I almost started crying. I like had to walk away. I was like, Bryan, my dad's at church. Like this.